So far I have discussed different aspects of my life, like my birthdays, my graduation, my relationship with my friends, a bit of my healing and my adulting journey, even my family to an extent. So today, all I could think about is that the one aspect that I haven't exactly explored is my love life. Now, just a disclaimer, this is dangerous territory, like historically proven dangerous territory. But the people who have seen me fall in and out of love over the last decade or so, they can definitely vouch for the fact that it has been a massive roller coaster ride. And I can surely say that I've loved and I've lost. And this roller coaster has not only been an extreme ride for me, but for several other people. Um, which, in immediate retrospect, I feel is not a very respectful way for me to talk about myself. Like I'm an amusement park ride because that's not the full picture, guys. Like, trust me, it's not like that in real life. But I feel that one of the best takeaways from horrible and traumatic experiences in life is that you get a sick sense of humor. So we're all optimists here, people. We focus on the bright side. Sometimes, I think. We're all trying here, okay? But for some reason, that optimism hasn't been very long lasting. Because lately, especially like in the last 2, 3 months or so, every interaction that I've had with someone, like anyone that I could potentially be involved with or even interested in, it has just somehow turned into like a test of my patience and my ability to uphold boundaries. Like now we're no longer thinking about do we have a connection or do we want to take this further or do we see a future or do we like this person. These are not the questions that I've been asking myself. Instead, what I'm asking myself is like, is this person really worth my time? Or, should I really give so much of my energy to this random stranger that I just met? And this kind of questioning has just been so not fun, to be honest. Like, I know the lessons and the boundaries and, the cautiousness and everything. It's important for growth and for character development. But, sir, my character is turning into a villain. What do I do? And, I'm a person who has truly enjoyed all of it. I have followed my impulse and intuition more than rules or norms or whatever the guidelines were. And I mean this in the nicest, cleanest way possible. I have had my fun. I have had experiences and adventures that someday will make my kids cringe with embarrassment. But I also know that it will make them feel inspired to follow their hearts and do what feels right and just comes naturally to them. And I don't know, like saying this makes me feel like I'm some 75-year-old woman who's looking back at her fading youth. Like, why do I talk about my life like that? But still, like, I am genuinely that done with all of it. And while I'm being all candid and honest about my past, I think I've been rather callous and carefree about making connections with people. Just going with the flow. It didn't matter whether it was something in a casual setting or it was something in a dating kind of a stage or even something in a serious relationship type of commitment level. So, in hindsight, I just feel like I've had a good run, at least opportunity wise. Like, if I ever saw even a slight chance with someone, I wouldn't hesitate in pursuing it. So, I don't see any of these stories as regrets because at least I gave it a shot. And that statement, better an oops than a what if. So, yeah, I really lived my life with that thing in mind for the longest time. But as the universe would have it, that easygoing thing never worked out for anyone. Not anyone that I know, at least. And especially not for me, because I am a person who feels all of their feelings. And by that, I mean all of them, like the good and the bad in all their severe extremities. And after going through that mess of emotions every time something would end or something wouldn't work out, and after having my heart turned into absolute roadkill, I thought it was time to make some changes, some much needed changes. So, in that process, I realized that it's so important for you to, you know, give things a shot, of course, but also take a step back and, identify your shortcomings and realize if you have any toxic patterns. And of course, like, I did that because earlier I didn't give so much thought into what kind of person I am finding a connection with. Because we were kids, like for most of it, we were just stupid kids. And that often ended up those people treating me like shit. And, they got the fucking audacity to sort of walk all over me because, well, my dad was emotionally absent. And that kind of made sense to me after a while once I recognized that pattern. And yeah, so I realized that I need to get out of this cycle, and I put in the work. I distanced myself from men and relationships and hookups and like, basically everything in that area. And yeah, I did set up some much needed boundaries. I did create some much needed distance from me and the people around me. So now I think twice, four times, 10 times before investing my energy and time and attention in someone. I am more cautious about the things that I do and say. I am more sort of conscious about making the first move. This is something that I'm not exactly sure about because earlier I used to find this as a very good trait, but now I'm sort of in two minds about it. Basically, long story short, I realized that there was a bad pattern that needed to be fixed. So I tried my best to fix that. And now, as an adult, like, this might seem a little mean, but I'm honestly silently rolling my eyes when someone does something or says something that doesn't exactly align with my idea of a good life or a good relationship or a good man. So, funnily, now when I look at people around me that I meet and just talk to, whether it's in person or online, it just reminds me of this one thing that my mother always said to me, that, you should marry young and settle early in life so that it's easier to adjust. And honestly, I used to be so angered and infuriated by this comment. Like, what do you mean, man? Do you mean that people who wait or take their time or, find love later in life, are they less likely to be happy? Or are those less successful relationships? Like, what is your point? As twisted as this is, I see the sense in it also. Like, damn right, I'm going to have a difficult time adjusting to someone new because if they don't match my standards, I'm not going to roll over and take whatever they do or say. So, the more I learn about life and myself, I think I'm going to have higher expectations, higher standards, and stricter boundaries as well, making it lesser and lesser likely for someone to walk over me or take advantage of me or, just put me into a situation where I shouldn't be. And I've also seen that age is rarely a factor anymore. Like, it doesn't determine anything. So, lately, I don't know for what reason, any kind of interaction that I'm having with someone, either in person or online, I'm just left with this one question in my head. Ki, why? Why did we even talk to this person for so long? Why did we even invest that energy in this person to begin with? And I felt that, being more cautious and having higher standards would help. And yeah, it did to an extent, but then why am I still having these really, truly boring experiences? Like, I don't have another word for it. Like, it's so meaningless and it's so bland and it's so just plain simple boring. And this is one place where I would never doubt myself because I live a well rounded life. I know what I bring to the table. So, this is one aspect where I am not the problem for sure. Like, for example, I met this one guy a couple days back. It's very recent. And I had a wonderful time. Like, overall, it was a great experience. And like, we went out, we had good food, we drank a little. The weather was particularly great. So, I had a very good experience. But as I was coming back home, I realized that this person was not capable of talking about anything but himself. And this might seem like a small thing, but if you really are so self absorbed and like if the only thing that you can focus in a conversation is yourself in the first few meetings, then how do you expect me to spend the upcoming weeks or months of my life trying to hold a conversation with you or, trying to get you to know about me because you clearly don't have the attention span to see anything else. Now, not too long before this interaction happened, I was kind of seeing someone. I mean, I don't know if I should call it that because we hadn't discussed it, but let's just go with it. We had been talking to each other, I think, for a little over a year. That was on and off. But in the last few months, we had actually gotten to spend some time and get to know one another and basically just have a good time. I felt so free around this person. Like, I would say and do the most absurd things. And funnily, it was like reciprocated. So I felt like both of us were on the same page that ways. And not just this, like, we had so many common interests and we would talk so much about the most random things. And this one time, we were supposed to go somewhere, and like he was downstairs waiting for me in the car. And coincidentally, both of us were wearing the same shirt of the same football team that we support. And it was such a cute moment. And like that, it was one green flag after the other. So much so that at one point, I really had to take a step back and sort of put this person under a microscope to find a red flag, to find something wrong with him. Because given my experience with men in the past, I was honestly just waiting for the other shoe to drop. Because all of this peace and all of this niceness and all of this, I don't know, these good things just seemed too good to be true for me. And you know what? At the end, I was right. It was too good to be true because after all of this, after all that build up, after all the good times that we had, that person disappeared on me completely. Like without a goodbye, without any explanation, without so much so as a courtesy message like, I'm not into this, or like, sorry, I'm not interested, or whatever. And going even like a little before this, I met this lawyer and I felt that this was important to mention because this was an educated person, this was a sensible person. And to me, it looked like this was a person who's sorted, who had been working for a while, who has their own life, has their own priorities, their own ambitions, their own goals, everything. So, of course, as a person who's still trying to build their life, I would want to have a good influence around me. I would want someone that I can look up to or get inspired by. So, after all of this careful consideration, I was so happy to find someone who would challenge me even on an intellectual level. So I think that was another added benefit. And this was a very sweet, very kind person. And I felt nice that for a change, I was not the one who was taking all the initiative in any kind of equation, because this guy was making plans, he was initiating conversations from his end. So I didn't feel like I was the only one who's doing all the heavy lifting, right? So that was good until he started canceling plans after suggesting that we meet. After the first couple of times, every time he would only make a plan and then end up backing out at the last minute. So I don't understand what is wrong with people. And it's not like I don't take initiative, it's just that I am not as eager as I used to be. I don't know why I felt the need to clarify that. But, anyways, I feel that humans have the potential to be such great creatures, the most evolved race, the most intelligent ones, yet they choose to be so fucking dumb. It's almost shameful. My head is definitely a mess because, like, earlier at least, I would know what was the problem. Like, I could find a definitive issue as to why something didn't work out. Now it's just like, people just keep dropping like flies, or I don't know, they keep pulling disappearing acts, and that's not fun because I don't know what to expect anymore. And I think that's the case with most people around me. Like, one would think that becoming an adult and, working towards getting your life together would make you a more decisive person, would make you a more clear headed person, and, like, on top of everything, just make you a nicer, more empathetic person. But there is proof after proof of the fact that that doesn't really happen. That is clearly not what's happening with me, and also with so many people around me. People are confused about what they want, so they also confuse other people about what they want. So basically it's just like blind leading the blind here. And to make things worse, there is this heavy idea of self love. Like, anytime you bring up this conversation about romantic relationships or, finding the right partner, there is one person or one comment for sure that mentions something about self love. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm all in favor of loving yourself and putting yourself first and doing things that you like. But I don't think that these two things are mutually exclusive. You can be in the process of loving yourself and accepting yourself and also invest in a good relationship, whatever kind of relationship you want. I don't know who brought this concept into being that, until you love yourself or until you accept yourself completely, you can't find love. Like, I don't know who said this, like, who brought this into existence, because there is no such rule. There is no rule that you need to fully love yourself or, like, fully accept yourself in order to be loved and accepted by someone else. Of course, there's a matter of respect that, if you respect yourself, if you respect your word, if you respect your boundaries, other people are more likely to do the same. But I don't think the same goes with love in this case. And the biggest thing that this whole concept fails to establish is that self love is a process. It's not some kind of stage that you reach in life, it's an ongoing process. With time, you're going to evolve as a person. There will be new things, there will be new circumstances. So you will keep learning new things about yourself. It's not like it's a one and done stage. So I think all I can say is, concluding everything that I've just talked about, is that I'm so clueless. I don't know how to approach people anymore. I don't know what to expect of people anymore. Even though I have my set standards, even though I have my set boundaries, I don't know to what limit or to what extent I should be flexible with them. Or should I even be flexible with my boundaries or my standards at all? I am clueless about how much to share with my friends because every single time that I share any kind of information with my friends about who I'm talking to, or if I've met someone new, or if I'm interested in someone, that person just suddenly flips out and disappears. Like, I don't know if this sharing of information is so paradigm shifting that a whole person just decides to leave, like, just without any explanation. And at the end of it all, to make things even more uncomfortable for you and to make you feel even more clueless about the world, there are these moments when someone you thought you had a good vibe with, or just someone that you were into, or you felt like they were into you, or whatever, like after all of this, when you see them with someone else, I mean, it's not heartbreaking. It's not like seeing your ex with someone else. That's a whole other thing. But these almost situations where you almost date someone, or you almost hook up with someone, or you almost make things work with someone, that shit sucks the most. Like, someone explained to me why I was sadder about my 3 month situationship ending than I was about my 2 year long relationship ending. Like, the math is not mathing. And I definitely did not work so hard only to be left clueless and not knowing what to do. Like, I did not have all of those hours in therapy, all of those hours having moments of self reflection, all of those days and nights that I spent working on myself to make myself a better person. I did not do all of that just to be left alone, and like, not just alone, just left clueless and confused and just feeling like meh. And finally, the one thing that I resent the most about modern dating is that because of this situationship nonsense, you can't even have legitimate relationship drama because you're not allowed to have a reaction to most things. Like, if you're seeing someone bhi kya? If you're in a situationship with someone, like 9 times out of 10, you haven't exactly discussed where things are going. You're just talking, you're kind of into each other, you potentially want to see where it goes, but because there are so many options and there are so many other distractions, like, if someone deviates from that, you can't even have an opinion, you can't even have a stand on it, you can't even have a reaction because, oh, you're not my girlfriend. First of all, if you're going to keep acting like that, no one's going to be your girlfriend, no one would want to be your girlfriend, please. And second, if you're not into it, just leave. Like, if you're so into talking to someone else, just go and talk to them. And I don't mean it in a sarcastic or a rude sense. If I'm not interesting enough for you, please, by all means, go find someone else that you find interesting enough. I don't mind. Just don't sit here, lie to my face, waste my time, and worst of all, keep me as a backup when nothing else works out for you because I'm not here for this. If you want to hook up, just hook up. If you want to chill and hang out and get to know each other, do that. If you want to genuinely invest time and work towards something serious, do that. But at least be fucking clear about what you want, right? Because you giving me mixed signals is only going to confuse me even more. And I might be a little stupid or a little careless or a little reckless sometimes when talking to people, especially in deciding what kind of people I talk to. I might be reckless with that. But at the end of it, I only have so much patience. I only have so much time and energy. And if you want to play games, don't waste my time because this is not the place and this is not a person you want to irritate. And this is not a person who's going to sit here and take all of this confused nonsense So, yeah, I'm still very clueless as to how this thing works. I used to be very confident about this because I would just follow my heart and, like, I would just do whatever I wanted to. But now, for some reason, I've gotten more concerned about how the other person feels, or, you know, is this worth my time? I think that's the most consistent question that I have on my mind. Is this worth my time? And when I see my friends, I see so many different kind of equations. Like there are some friends who are in college and are still figuring their shit out, still in their college dating wala phase. There are some friends who are married or on the verge of getting married, some friends in live in relationships, some friends in long distance committed relationships, some friends having the on and off hot and cold wala thing, some friends who are single and are happy being single, some friends who are single and absolutely hate being single, and the list goes on, honestly. So when I look at these people, and also when I think about my own love life, I feel like at the end of the day, everyone wants some kind of companionship. Okay, it might not be for life, but everyone needs someone. Everyone likes to be needed. Everyone likes to be, made to feel important. So I really hope that all of this gets better, and hopefully soon I'll be out of this confusion and cluelessness wala state. It doesn't matter what kind of a relationship I'm in. It's just that if it's so difficult for me to just talk to people, then forget everything else. Like if I'm having such a difficult time building a connection, maintaining and sustaining it is out of the question. So yeah, here's hoping. This was episode 5 of Thought Vault, Love Lies.